What is up, everyone? As always, it is Lovenji here, and welcome back to another episode of Populous, the beginning, Undiscovered Worlds. Today we're taking on Mission 5, which is Human Shield. Now, this mission, it has a lot of promise, but really doesn't deliver. And you'll see what I mean. But without further ado, let's get this underway. Okay guys, here we go. So this is Human Shield. And the very first thing we're going to be doing is speeding up. So the premise of this is that the Chimera and the Dakini are in a long-standing alliance on this island. They have complete control of the island. Oh, by the way, if your men are stuck, you can spam click on a hut like this and they will slowly proceed up the hill, and eventually you can set them free. Now, the Chimera and the Matak, not the Chimera and the Matak, the Chimera and the Dakini have a long-standing alliance on this world. Unfortunately, we do not ally with the Matak, and in fact the Matak are going to be, as the name implies, our human shield for this mission. They're going to be all that stands between us and a horrible demise at the hands of both the Chimera and the Dakini. So, our goal is, as you can probably guess, to build up our tribe as quickly as possible. And all I'm doing is using the land bridge to build up a few islands. And as you can see here, there's a little bit of destruction. They're already showing up with tornadoes, earthquakes. There's a firestorm there and a couple of tornadoes. So the other two tribes really aren't messing around. And of course, instead of defending themselves, the Matak take it upon themselves to attack us instead. Solid logical decisions that in no way, shape or form hinder the longevity of their tribe. Now, the interesting thing is, from my perspective, the design of this mission could have been much better than it actually was. And this is actually addressed in one of the player fan-made campaigns, because it would have really been cool to have a 2v2 here, you know, actually work with the Matak and maybe try to have the challenge of keeping the Matak alive. As you can see, the developers absolutely did not intend for the Matak to be left alive, as well as being in the mission text that the Matak are all that stand between the Chimera and you, and that they will not last long. So, you know, it is scripted that they should die very quickly. But on top of that, you can see with the aggressiveness of the other two tribes and how they come in wielding mighty spells such as Firestorm 5 minutes into the mission, that there was no way in heck that they were ever going to remain standing. But this is why, with our patented guard towers everywhere strategy, we will be able to build our own little fort. Somehow the Matak knew I was going to do that. No, she's going to convert more wildmen. As cool as that dodge looked, it was purely coincidental that she decided her tribe numbers were low enough that she needed a boost to her population at the exact same time I needed a boost to my mana. Now at this point, the Matak are really low. They're basically out of the game, and any second now the Chimera will do what is necessary to force them into desperation mode, and in their desperation they will instead, even though we haven't done anything to them, the desperation mode for the AI always says target the blue tribe, so they will end their lives by charging us. As you can see at this point, they buy us just enough time for us to become a well-established tribe. And what we're going to be doing is my least favourite strategy in the game. We'll be winning this mission with a whole lot of turtling to get all our spells, and then fire warriors in balloons. There are 2 missions that we do this strategy on, and this is the first of those. The premise is very simple. I pay for my lightning bolt here because she gets a tornado on my hut from the boat that she was dying in. But watch this. This is a value tornado if ever, because I follow the tornado. I'm just like, where is that going? Oh, it takes out another hut. Fantastic. So she manages to get 2 huts for the price of 1 with that tornado. Never happens when I cast a tornado, of course. So yeah, we're just grabbing balloons at this point. Now, Shaman in the balloon gives you the high ground advantage of spell range, always. So it's very beneficial to have a Shaman inside a balloon. The guard tower alarm sounds very interesting when it's going at every single second. One of the advantages of the speeding up is it's actually, I find the 400% guard tower sound a whole lot less annoying than the standard speed guard tower sound, because it rings a lot more and it's just very persistent and you just want it to shut up. You can imagine how I'm trying to play this mission and all I can hear every second is that dying alarm. I can't even figure out where it's coming from half the time. So we're building our huts down because obviously we want max pop, or as close to max pop as we can get. We're building our huts down into what was the Matak territory, using swamps as our main form of defense. They will only ever land on that side, the same direction that they landed on to attack the Matak. So we can safely swamp that all up and we'll be okay. Bit of spam clicking gets us that balloon, and we just carry on training fire warriors. So our entire goal here is exactly as you can see. We're just building up balloon after balloon after balloon of double fire warriors. We're then going to, if you can't figure it out, we're going to magical shield them to make them invulnerable to retaliatory fire from enemy fire warriors. And then we're just gonna, it's quite a slow process, we're just gonna slowly bleed them out. But I haven't had to build any balloons of my own because the Chimera are being very kind and just actually feeding them to us. So with a bit of spam clicking, we're okay. So, now we have to find them. It's no real mystery. Magical shield down. And I stop the speeding up at this point. And this is just destruction, essentially. A nice long period of destruction. So we're just gonna float on in. Those fire warriors, for as long as they've got magical shield, are more or less untouchable, so we can just calmly unload our spells. As I've said before, when the shaman is sharing a balloon with a magical shielded follower, they may or may not actually take damage from a fire warrior's attack. So it gives a little more longevity and safety to the actual shaman as well. But all we're doing at this point is floating on through, being careful because there is still a chance that we get killed, and using our invulnerability to really scout out the enemy tribe and get some high value firestorms in. You get this wonderful flyby effect because you don't have to manually order the fire warriors to fight to fire. So you can actually just float on through and cause all sorts of damage without having to stop exploring. Fire warriors are very good because they cause quite considerable follower damage. They're not too great at destroying buildings at any speed, but they will absolutely make sure that followers die. As you can see, with this many, they're even working through warriors pretty quickly. It's a pretty reliable way of making sure that we kill everyone. Remember, lava will still kill through magical shields, so lava was something that I was consciously avoiding there, in terms of why I didn't cast that earthquake as quickly as I originally was going to. And tornadoes will still pick people up, even if they're magical shielded. So that is another spell that you have to be particularly careful of. Now the stoneheads indicate that there are volcanoes and angels of death around. They are on this island, essentially. We're not that interested in them because of the strategy that we're using to win this mission, which is, again, followers. Most unlike me. Significant differences between elevation of ground will cause buildings to instantaneously explode like that. So if you find yourself at a loss, and we'll be doing it in another mission as well, as to how to destroy a building, because you don't have the mana or the access to the destructive spells, you could consider using something like Land Bridge or the Flatten spell. So there's a death. I wasn't really paying attention. Managed to get myself sniped, but because I've got magical shield up, I can just continue being destructive with these fire warriors. I don't have to wait for my shaman to respawn like I normally do during my spell attacks. And in fact, our mana needs recharging anyway, so it actually works out as a bit of a blessing. We just have to make sure our fire warriors do their job, which they are. Leave them on the trail of destruction. So, the reason I don't like this strategy is, particularly against the AI, it's a very unresponsive strategy. A player could try to use lava if they're feeling clever, or wouldn't throw their followers away and try to time their attack to your magical shield being down, as is about to happen with these guys, but as you can see I can just make them run away. Or the player would utilise the Hypnotise spell, which as you can clearly see we have access to. Hypnotise will go through a magical shield, will destroy the magical shield when the followers change side, and even more, forces them to exit the vehicles that they are in, so they won't be vulnerable. It's very interesting if you hit people, because it forces them to exit the vehicles. If you hit people in boats on the water, they all just die immediately because they all just drown. So with another 2 fire warriors we're going to go and do the exact same thing. This mission's not particularly interactive. I quite liked this mission from a perspective of the original idea was very good, but his execution ends up being quite poor. What you can do, I have done before, is create a land bridge using the Flatten spell from the Matak to you to this island, and what that essentially does is makes one long land path, and you can have some pretty epic battles with the 2 tribes on this land path because they will actually use it to try to attack you. But again, that's in the realm of just time wasting stuff that's cool about the mission but not something we're actually going to use. As you can see, my aforementioned warning, even though we come back with extra fire warriors, we lose them immediately because that's how lava works. It goes through magical shields. And my shaman jumps out of the balloon here and it causes all sorts of hell for me. I actually don't really know what happened, but it actually cost me my shaman here. Really quite annoyingly. But again, I have access to fire warriors. These fire warriors are magically shielded. I'm not particularly worried. The Dakini actually fall there, which is why we're in 1.5 times speed, just to bring an end to this. There's no real difference in the strategy that we're currently using. And you can see that the Chumara's Fire Warrior hut is currently damaged. Now, all I have to do is sit on top of that and it will kill any Braves that try to repair it. And so long as they're denied Fire Warriors, even when the magical shield times out, their ability to answer and respond to my attack is significantly reduced. But I did decide to go and pick up the Shaman just to carry on with the realms of the building destruction. I realise I really hate trying to manually select a bunch of balloons, so I just immediately go back to the Followers tab. Now, the Followers tab is probably the best way to select units in this game. As you can see, it gives you a list of who's idle, who's working, different types of followers, or whether they're in a vehicle. It makes it easier to select followers, which is good for a game that doesn't provide you with control groups. Personally, I'd still prefer control groups. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this mission. I'm going to be quiet now and let the mission close itself out. That was mission 5. So as I said, I would have really liked to have seen that be a 2v2 style mission, perhaps put some pressure on us to actually keep the Matak alive and force sort of the Unlikely Allies mission from the main campaign, give us a more interesting run at the whole being allied mechanic instead of what ended up happening there. Anyway, as always, share the video, subscribe, let me know what you enjoy and what you'd like to see done differently, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.